Hi up, Rayvers. Welcome to a new series of Ray Reviews. And to kick us off, we're going to be looking at a film that sees Sean Connery wearing a nappy and a wedding dress. It's Zardoz.
Zardoz.
You are? Oh. Yeah, Zardoz.
Zardoz.
Yeah, alright. It's a weird 1970s science fiction film starring Sean Connery. And you can tell it's going to be weird because it starts off with this floating head flying around the countryside, which is apparently Zardoz.
Zardoz.
Which appears to be some sort of deity that gets worshipped by these blokes who go running around wearing nappies and murdering people. And you know, Zardoz.
Zardoz.
He can do this every time. Zardoz.
Zardoz.
Oh, for f***'s sake. Any road, he starts preaching to the nappy men this weird ethos.
The gun is good.
The gun is good!
The penis is evil.
And he starts vomiting guns. I mean, better that than vomiting penises, I suppose. So this film was already losing me. But then luckily, Sean Connery turns up looking like one at Doobie Brothers. And he looks down the barrel of the camera and shoots it. And we're not talking about a gun barrel sequence like he does with Bond. No, this is breaking the fourth wall. More like Tom Selleck does in Magnum. Except this film weren't as much fun as Magnum. Now, during the credits, I couldn't tell but notice that the name of the design and story associate were Bill Stair. And that name instantly rang a bell with me. And sure enough, after a visit to IMDb, my hunch were proved correct, because it's the same Bill Stair that created Boone. Yeah, Boone, starring Michael Elphick as the odd job man / motorcycle dispatch rider / private investigator we are to goad Ken Boone. And there is, you see, Bill Stair created Boone. I really enjoyed Boone. You could say it was the UK's answer to Magnum. He'd always help those in need. You know, he'd stick up for the underdog. But by the end of the episode, he'd always end up doing it for free and never made any money. Lovely bloke, but terrible businessman. I enjoyed Boone, I thought it were good. Cracking theme tune and all. They wouldn't make it these days, would they? He ain't a glamorous enough star, Michael Elphick, is he, really? You wouldn't have a series with an overweight, middle-aged bloke as a star anymore, would you? Which I think's a shame. And here's a fun fact for you. I were actually in an episode of Boone. Yeah, once they moved the location to Nottingham. I popped up in an episode. You what? Yeah, the Rayvers would want to hear about that, wouldn't they? Oh, you're right, yeah. I better get back to Zardoz.
Zardoz.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Anyway, after credits, we see that Sean Connery has hitched a lift inside the floating head, along with a bunch of frozen nudists covered in cellophane. And he arrives at this deserted farmhouse, and it looks like the sort of location that you'd have seen in an episode of The Avengers. Yeah, you can imagine Mrs. Steed and John Peel swanning around there. Now, whilst he's mooching about this farmhouse, he finds a few bits and bobs and sees a couple of more nudists. And then some folk with tea towels on their heads start doing experiments on him. And we start to see loads of flashbacks of him with the rest of the Doobie Brothers murdering loads of people. So it was obvious that Connery were a pretty horrible bloke. There's more nudists there, isn't there? I didn't really get it. There are a lot of nudists in this film. Didn't understand what the relevance were of all the nudists. Although Connery is only wearing a nappy for most of it. And he looks in pretty good nick, to be fair. Certainly better than he did in Diamonds Are Forever, which were a few years before. He'd pretty much gone to seed then. It looks great, eh? While he's being ogled by some of Pan's people. He obviously knew that he were going to have to get his son in good nick for what were going to be a physical movie. He does loads of running about, for example. And also does perhaps some of his finest ever physical acting, as evidenced here, where he does an impression of Marceau going down an elevator.
Go in. Go on.
And he also did the stuck in an invisible box routine. Great stuff. And it looks like he's got a pretty physical job, because it turns into a bit of an odd job man, picking stuff up and lugging things about. Perhaps he were a forerunner of Ken Boone. Here he is lugging John Alderton around in a cart. Now, you younger viewers will remember John Alderton from the Maxwell House coffee adverts. But the older ravers out there will remember him from the 60s due to his starring role in Please Sir, where he played the teacher of a remedial class of students who'd been held back for several years. I mean, look at that bloke sat at the front. He ain't a day under 35. Anyway, for some reason, Pan's people take a dislike to John Alderton, and they all stand there waving their arms at him, going, "Yoo!" And after what seems like ages, they send him into a coma. And the next time we see him, he's turned dead out. But for some reason, only one half of his face has turned dead out. It reminded me of that Tom Cruise film, where he's been hideously disfigured from a car crash. The one where he spends the last 10 minutes running around shouting tech support. Tech support! Tech support! Coincidentally, Connery seems to spend about 10 minutes in this film running around shouting tabernacle.
Tabernacle! 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 Tabernacle!
Now, I'd been struggling to follow the film any road, but by this point, I did not have a Scooby what were going on. At one point, Connery gets attacked in a garden centre. Then you see him dressed up in a wedding dress, because he's hiding from the folk who'd been attacking him. How did they persuade him to do that? And at some point we find out that Zardoz ain't really a thing. And the clever twist is that it's a smooching together of the Wizard of Oz.
No!
Zardoz!
Zardoz!
Except this clever reveal didn't really do out for me, because I didn't have a Scooby what it were about in the first place. Anyway, the film concludes when Sean Connery's nappy mates turn up and start murdering everybody, and Connery escapes back into the floating head with Charlotte Rampling and has it off with her. And then they seem to set up home in the floating head, have a family, wear matching Howard and Hilda costumes, and then drop dead. All without moving for decades. They must have had terrible piles. So, on to Ray's ratings. Well, I love a good 1970s science fiction film, so I were hoping this might be pretty good, and we're anticipating a 3-star film. But it were bloody awful, so it were a 1-star, 3-star film. So, would I recommend Zardoz?
Zardoz!
It were absolute cobblers. And to be honest, you'd be much better off sitting down and watching an episode of Boone.
Boone!
Oh. Well, hope you enjoyed that, Rayvers. And if you did, come and join me again next week, because I'm going to be taking an echo snooze. I'm going to be having a sleep, going into a dream state, courtesy of Inception. Yeah. And if you want to see what else I've been up to, then come and check out a race night on Saturday nights. I'll pop a link in the description below, so you can come and join us on a race night. It's fun for our family. Yeah. Yeah, if you like this video, smash the like button, as the youngsters say. Smash it. And subscribe and share it with your mates. And I will see you next time. Okeydoo.